We're gonna make Spam pineapple sliders. These are absolutely delicious.
From the quirky potted meat and mayonnaise sandwich to the sweet and savory Spam and pineapple sandwich, America's food history is full of forgotten favorites. Here are the 20 long-lost American sandwiches that have nearly disappeared. Number 20, bologna and ketchup sandwich. We kick things off with probably the easiest sandwich you could ever make. Seriously, it's just a slice or two of bologna laid on some super soft white bread, and then you squeeze on a bit of ketchup. That's it. Nothing fancy. No big cooking skills needed. Back in the 60s and 70s, this was like the go-to lunch for so many kids. Parents liked it because it was cheap, quick, and didn't need much effort. And kids loved it because, let's be honest, ketchup kind of made everything taste better. It might not sound like the most exciting thing today, but for the kids who grew up eating it, that simple bologna and ketchup sandwich feels like a little bit of their childhood. Number 19, apple and cheese sandwich. Okay, so this next one might sound kind of fancy today, but back then, it was just normal. Picture this: thin, crunchy slices of apple, stacked with sharp cheddar cheese on some bread. That's it! At first, you're probably thinking, wait, fruit in a sandwich? But honestly, it just worked. In New England, farmers had apples everywhere, and cheese was something they made all the time. So, putting the two together wasn't about being creative or trying to impress anyone. It was just what they had lying around. And funny enough, it turned into this super refreshing but still filling lunch. If someone served this today at a cafe, people would probably call it gourmet and post it on Instagram. But for those farmers back then, it was just everyday fuel. Like, yeah, here's lunch. Now let's get back to work. Simple, practical, and surprisingly delicious. Number 18, bacon and tomato sandwich, pre-BLT era. All right, before the famous BLT took over, there was actually just a BT. Yep, bacon and tomato. No lettuce in sight. Imagine this: crispy, smoky bacon stacked with big, juicy slices of tomato, all stuck inside soft bread. It was super simple, but man, it worked. This sandwich really hit during summertime because that's when tomatoes were at their best. Sweet, juicy, and basically begging to be eaten. Pair that with bacon, which kind of makes everything taste better. And boom! You've got yourself a hearty little meal. But then lettuce showed up and the BLT was born. And honestly, that version just stole the spotlight. Over time, the plain old bacon and tomato kind of slipped into the background. Like the underrated opening act no one remembers. Still, for the people who had it back then, the BT was a classic in its own right. Straightforward, seasonal, and really satisfying. Number 17, bologna salad sandwich. Okay, so this next one wasn't just a sandwich. It was the picnic and potluck superstar of its time. We're talking about bologna salad sandwiches. Now, instead of just slicing up bologna and throwing it on bread, people got creative. They grind it up, mix it with mayo, some relish, maybe a little mustard, and then spread it between slices of bread. It was basically like a budget version of ham salad. Some people even called it the poor man's ham salad. And honestly, it made sense because it was cheap, filling, and you can make a giant bowl of it to feed a whole crowd. Perfect for family reunions, church events, or backyard barbecues, where everyone just needed something quick and satisfying. If you talk to older folks, they'll tell you this sandwich instantly brings back memories of church basements with long, folding tables, or hot summer afternoons where all the cousins were running around while the adults swapped stories. It wasn't fancy, but it had this real community food vibe. Something you shared, something that brought people together. And yeah, today it might not look Instagram worthy, but back then it was the definition of comfort food. The kind of thing where one bite takes you right back to those family gatherings. Number 16, date and nut sandwich. All right, this one is definitely on the sweet side. Imagine chopped dates mashed up with peanut butter or cream cheese. Sticky, chewy, and kinda messy, but in a way that somehow works. Some people even threw in chopped nuts for a little extra crunch. Back in the day, this sandwich was considered wholesome and good for you. You'd see it at women's clubs, fancy little luncheons, or even packed in lunches for kids as a healthier alternative to candy. But as candy bars and packaged snacks started taking over, this little date-filled gem quietly faded away. People forgot about it, but honestly, if you tried it today, you might be surprised. That mix of sweet, creamy, and a little crunch? Pretty satisfying. It's one of those sandwiches that makes you think, why did we ever let it go? Definitely not flashy, but kind of charming in its old school, stick-to-your-fingers way. Number 15, tongue sandwich. Yes, you heard that right. Beef tongue. Sounds a little out there today, but back in the day, it was a totally normal deli meat. They'd slice it super thin and pile it high on rye bread, usually with a generous smear of mustard. Simple, but somehow really satisfying. Jewish delis in New York and immigrant-owned cafes all over the country sold it regularly. It wasn't some weird novelty. It was hearty, protein-packed, and people took it seriously. You knew a sandwich like this meant business. These days, you'll mostly find it at specialty delis, and even then, it's kind of a niche item. But back then, this was mainstream lunch fare. People didn't think twice about it. It was just part of everyday life. Kinda like a steak sandwich that got a little twist. Honestly, if you tried it now, it might freak some people out. But it's one of those classic sandwiches that remind you how creative and fearless people were with food. It wasn't just a sandwich, it was a statement. If you thought tongue was unusual, can you guess which sandwich turned a simple fruit into the creamiest, most surprising midday treat? Keep watching because it's just coming up. Number 14, sardine and onion sandwich. If you think sardines and mustard were bold, then sardines with raw onions really took it up a notch. This sandwich was a staple among working-class families, especially immigrants who grew up eating strongly flavored, preserved fish. Imagine biting into the soft, salty sardines and getting that sharp, crunchy hit of onion. It's intense, but packed with flavor. It was practical, cheap, and full of protein, making it a serious lunch option for families who needed sustenance on a budget. Over time, as American palates shifted towards milder meats and simpler flavors, this sandwich slowly disappeared from lunch tables. But for the people who grew up with it, it wasn't just a meal, it was normal life. It's one of those recipes that tells a story about resilience and cultural taste, showing how immigrant communities adapted traditional foods to the American context. Today, it might seem extreme, but back then, it was just an everyday flavor that fueled hard-working families. Number 13, bologna and potato chip sandwich. This sandwich is pure childhood ingenuity. Kids in the 60s and 70s discovered that adding potato chips to a bologna sandwich transformed it from boring to fun. The soft, salty bologna and bread combined with the crisp, flavorful chips made for a satisfying crunch in every bite. Barbecue, sour cream and onion, or classic salted chips. There was a flavor adventure for every kid's taste buds. It wasn't fancy, but it was all about experimentation and fun. For anyone who grew up during that era, this sandwich instantly brings back memories of sneaking snacks into lunchboxes or trying to one-up your friends with the crunchiest combo. It was messy, customizable, and unapologetically simple. It might not make it into a gourmet cookbook, but for kids of that time, it was peak creativity. Every bite was playful, nostalgic, and deeply satisfying, proving that sometimes the simplest ingredients make the most memorable meals. Number 12. Cream Chip Beef Sandwich. Known as SOS or Stuff on a Shingle, this sandwich originated as military food but became a household staple after soldiers returned home. The creamed, salty beef mixture was spooned generously between slices of bread, creating a sandwich that was cheap, hearty, and satisfying. Families loved it because it could feed a crowd with minimal ingredients while still feeling like a real meal. It was the kind of food that made sure nobody went hungry. Sure, the name might sound funny today, and the look of it might make modern eaters hesitate, but back then, it was comfort food. Growing families relied on its simplicity, taste, and protein-packed content. There's a reason soldiers depended on it during war. It was filling, practical, and could be made in bulk. Even though it's largely disappeared from kitchens today, it's a snapshot of a generation's creativity, practicality, and resilience in feeding hungry families efficiently. Number 11. Egg and Olive Sandwich. Think of this as the jazzed-up version of classic egg salad. Hard-boiled eggs mixed with mayonnaise get an extra punch from chopped green olives, which bring a salty, tangy bite. It was a popular deli choice in the 40s and 50s, especially in urban areas, offering a sandwich that was simple, satisfying, and slightly elevated from the everyday lunch. The olives gave it personality and a flavor that stuck with people. Unlike a plain egg salad, this sandwich had character. Those who grew up eating it remember the sharp contrast of creamy eggs and briny olives. It wasn't just lunch, it was a little adventure in every bite. It shows how even small twists can transform a basic recipe into something memorable. For college students today, it's easy to dismiss, but for the generations before us, the egg and olive sandwich was a flavorful, thoughtful way to eat on a budget while enjoying a bit of sophistication. Number 10. Banana and Mayonnaise Sandwich. Okay, this one might make you pause. Smash or sliced bananas with mayonnaise on white bread. Sounds strange, right? But in the South, this was a common, cheap, and calorie-packed snack. It wasn't fancy, but it was comforting, filling, and perfect for kids coming home from school with big appetites. The creamy mayo balanced the sweetness of the bananas, creating a flavor and texture combo that was oddly satisfying. Many Southerners who grew up on it still defend it fiercely, calling it the ultimate taste of childhood. It was the kind of sandwich that sparked debate at the lunch table. Some loved it, some didn't, but everyone remembered it. For a generation, it wasn't just a snack. It was practical, inexpensive, and surprisingly comforting. Eating one today might feel adventurous, but back then, it was a simple way to fuel a day and enjoy a little indulgence at home. Number 9. Liverwurst and Onion Sandwich. Rich, creamed liverwurst paired with raw onion on rye bread is definitely not for the faint of heart. German-American families made this sandwich a staple, appreciating its bold, earthy flavors and serious nutrition. The liverwurst's smooth texture contrasts with the sharp bite of onion, making it a sandwich that demands attention. It wasn't meant to be delicate. It was hearty, filling, and packed with protein. Over time, as deli meats evolved and taste softened, the liverwurst sandwich faded from mainstream popularity. But for those who grew up with it, it remains iconic. A reminder of German-American culinary traditions and working-class ingenuity. It's a flavor that sticks with you, showing that not every memorable sandwich has to be sweet or mild. Bold flavors like this one create lasting memories. Number 8. Bologna and Cheese Spread Sandwich. Not to be confused with bologna salad, this sandwich spread was a Midwest favorite. Chopped bologna, cheese, and relish combined into a smooth paste that could be smeared on bread or crackers. It was cheap, easy to make in bulk, and perfect for feeding a crowd at church socials or community gatherings. A little messy, yes, but endlessly practical. It wasn't fancy, but it had charm. Kids and adults alike enjoyed the creamy, slightly tangy flavor, and it was so convenient that it became a staple at potlucks. The bologna and cheese spread sandwich reminds us that sometimes practicality and simplicity make food memorable. You didn't need artisanal bread or gourmet ingredients, just something cheap, filling, and shareable. Number 7. Cucumber and butter sandwich. Borrowed from English tea traditions, cucumber and butter sandwiches were once a symbol of refinement at American garden parties and afternoon teas. Thin cucumber slices over buttered bread created a light, refreshing bite that felt elegant without being complicated. It's simple, delicate, and surprisingly satisfying. Of course, over time, heavier, meatier sandwiches stole the spotlight, but cucumber and butter had its moment. It was all about elegance and simplicity. No meat, no fuss, just fresh cucumber and creamy butter on soft bread. Today, it might seem quaint, but back then, it was the ultimate snack for a leisurely afternoon with friends. Number 6. Pickle and peanut butter sandwich. This one sounds like a dare, but it's real. The vinegary crunch of dill pickles combined with the creamy sweetness of peanut butter, an unexpected pairing that somehow works. Families during the Depression relied on combinations like this to stretch limited ingredients. And surprisingly, it's more than just survival food. It's bold and memorable. Some people even fried this sandwich for extra crispiness. It's a reminder that creativity in the kitchen isn't just for gourmet chefs. Sometimes necessity breeds the most interesting flavor combinations. Today it might sound weird, but back then it was practicality mixed with a little culinary adventure. Number 5. Sardine and mustard sandwich. This sandwich might make you wrinkle your nose, but for working-class families, it was a lunchbox staple. Sardines were cheap, nutritious, and shelf-stable, and when paired with tangy mustard, they created a protein-packed sandwich that kept you full for hours. The flavors were strong, salty, and slightly briny, but it was practical and satisfying, perfect for people who needed a quick, hearty meal. Sardine and mustard sandwiches might not look fancy today, but they tell a story about American food history. Families didn't have endless options, so they used what was available, and they made it work. Eating one now might feel daring, but back then, it was just normal life, flavorful, efficient, and filling. It's a sandwich that reminds us that practicality sometimes tastes surprisingly good. And just when you think a strong fish flavor is bold, wait until you see a sandwich that combines salty meat with sweet tropical fruit. Would you ever try it? Keep watching. Coming up next. Number 4. Deviled ham sandwich. Canned deviled ham, especially the Underwood brand with its little devil logo, was everywhere. Mixed with mayo or mustard, it made a quick, spicy filling for sandwiches. It was cheap, easy, and convenient, fueling generations of school children and workers who needed a hearty lunch without fuss. This sandwich's flavor could be divisive. You either loved the tangy, slightly spicy taste or avoided it entirely. But for those who grew up on it, deviled ham sandwiches evoked memories of packed lunchboxes, quick bites between chores, and the simple practicality of Depression-era and post-war life. It's a reminder that comfort food doesn't have to be elaborate to be memorable. Number 3. Peanut butter and bacon sandwich. Before Elvis made peanut butter and banana iconic, peanut butter and bacon had its own fan base. Crispy bacon gave crunch and saltiness, while peanut butter added creaminess and richness. The result? A hearty, protein-filled sandwich that was perfect for laborers, athletes, or anyone needing a serious energy boost during a long day. It might sound weird at first, but the salty-sweet combination works surprisingly well. This sandwich wasn't about fancy ingredients, it was about function, flavor, and filling you up. For anyone who grew up eating it, it's a nostalgic reminder that bold pairings can sometimes create the most unforgettable meals. Number 2, Spam and Pineapple Sandwich. Our runner-up brings together Hawaiian inspiration and American practicality. Spam, introduced during World War II, was paired with juicy pineapple rings to create a sweet and salty tropical sandwich. Fried Spam slices added smokiness and texture, while pineapple brought bright sweetness and unexpected balance that delighted backyard barbecues and church picnics alike. This sandwich shows how American ingenuity can transform simple ingredients into something memorable. Families during wartime or post-war eras made do with what they had, and somehow Spam and pineapple became a quirky, beloved classic. It's a little retro, a little strange, but still has fans today who swear by it. Number 1, Potted Meat and Mayonnaise Sandwich. At number 1, we have the humble potted meat and mayonnaise sandwich, a Depression-era staple. It fed countless families when food budgets were tight. Canned meat was cheap, salty, and shelf-stable, while mayonnaise stretched it further. It wasn't just a sandwich, it was survival, a way to feed a family efficiently while still tasting decent. Modern palates might reject it, but back then, it represented resilience, resourcefulness, and practicality. For many, a potted meat sandwich wasn't just lunch. It was a symbol of making do and getting creative with what you had. Every bite tells a story of the flavors that shaped American kitchens and the generations who grew up on them. And there you have it, the 20 long-lost sandwiches that once ruled American lunch tables. Which of these sandwiches would you actually try? Or maybe there's one from your childhood we didn't mention that deserves a spot on this list. Drop a comment below and let us know your nostalgic favorites. If you enjoyed this deep dive into America's lost sandwich history, hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss our next countdown.